So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Tzayelic lineage. So then we can understand the time of the end as per Yeshayahu the prophet. We find layers of understanding of the spring feast, the autumn feast, and also the returning of the cities of the Mashiach laid waste for many centuries. As we read it in Yeshayahu the prophet, let's then point out the situation regarding then the coming of the Hamashiach ben Yosef, and then the coming also of the Shilishim, as we understand, or then the sent ones, those people who are involved in informing the people, or then the Hebrews that were then involved with Hamashiach ben Yosef, and the completion of the spring feast. So then, understandably, Shaliach Shaul, known as Paul, the records are showing that he wrote 2/3 of this New Testament, and truly the reality of it is Paul truly, he didn't write 2/3 of the New Testament. So there are sections from the original manuscripts. It already gives you the answer regarding then the completion of the spring feast. So then, when Shaliach Shaul, known as Paul, was writing, you find then that a lot of layers that he explained was already given by the prophets prior of his time. So when we read, obviously, and most often, regarding then the first writings of the spring feast, Mitchiyahu for instance, the understanding is Mitchiyahu, and then Yohanan, Luke, and then Mark. These are exact replica of each other, because they are recording situations of the spring feast found in Vaikra or Leviticus. So then, when we read Paul or Shaliach Shaul, it's extremely important understanding a bit of the original manuscript, because if you participate in a church or in a group, if you participate in a gathering of some sort, and if by chance you open your scripture, then you can easily navigate through this scripture, because then you have a bit of knowledge and understanding when a speaker is talking of the Shilishim, or then these people who were sent. So as we understand, the papacy is helping to build the third temple. It's a very important, momentous time in history, because it gives you that the prophecies from the time of Yeshayahu, Yirmiyahu, Daniel, and also Ezekiel shows you sections of the restoration period. So what they were saying truly was reality. When people, they gather around and they go to church, they sometimes are expecting to hear a section of these New Testaments that they believe themselves should fit their lives. The only thing is, 9 out of 10, these people who are going in the front, the pulpit of the church, they pick whatsoever verses they want. Now, this truly is not what the divine has taught. He always teaches people related with portions of the scripture that are alike. Alike because it's showing step-by-step formation of the holy feasts. This is what then should be aligned, not a mere random understanding of a spiritual level of experience and then picking sections of New and Old Testament and playing around with those because they make no sense. That's why a lot of people, when they go to the churches, they get, the sense they are being deceived. Because they hear a certain way in one church, they go to the other church, they hear another way. And truly, that's why you have more than 1,000 denominations, because each of them, they talk in a certain way. But the true manuscripts, the Hebrew translation, gives you the structuring. In a year's time, you find then many kinds of feasts, and each of these they have a spiritual significance besides then the physical completion of each one of them. So then, a true healthy person mentoring others or explaining the holy instructions should always be concerned in making sure the understandings from Leviticus or Vaikra aligns with the rest of the prophets until it reaches then Revelation known as Galah. So this should be the proper form of mentoring the people or guiding them through. So then they can start becoming more interested in learning than the Hebrew language, because then gives you foundation in explaining other people what truly these scriptures meant. So then later on they're going to pick up more of these understandings from Shaliach Shaul, so then you can trace back what he was saying via the prophets. Now when you hear Shaliach Shaul, you don't find this great Shaliach speaking of his own personal life. You don't find Shaliach Shaul talking of, he got a new horse, or he got a new tent. You find Shaliach Shaul talking of the Torah and the understanding of the completion of the spring feast. And Shaliach Shaul states we should imitate him as he was imitating what he learned from the Hamashiach ben Yosef. So then this gives a bit of space to each person to taking the time and glancing at it at least. So then truly the situation regarding the Catholic Church helping then the Hebrew brothers, the Jews, to get the temple restored and rebuilt, it's a very important moment in history, because it helps recognize that there is truly an alignment of spiritual truths based from the original people. The scripture gives us a few sections of later on Europe becoming then strongly leading the movement of revelation. You find the West more aligned with the original manuscripts. So there is a time of transformation in this side of the hemisphere And this truly gives us the great chance of understanding where these scriptures are coming from. It's truly a great privilege. Europe, however, they won't have this forward motion as we are having, because our nation was for many years the guiding point of trade and organization. Obviously, then, as far as religion, this country also led in a path that is very related with Judaism. It's not the same as Judaism, but a lot of it is related with it. So it's a very neat time of learning, a time of helping other people, and most importantly, helping build the third temple. So please stay tuned, much more coming up.